Hey guys, if you're here for the Nearpod session, you're in the right place. It's 3:55, so we have about 5 minutes before we get started today. So hang tight. Today's session will be recorded. So if you're wanting to watch, you can. If you want to take notes, you can. If you want to kind of follow along in your own Nearpod, you can. Whatever works best for you in your learning. Hey guys, for those of you joining us, we're going to be starting our Nearpod session at 4 o'clock today. We're still letting people in, but you're in the right spot. We will use the chat today to help facilitate any questions that you have. So if you need anything, go ahead and drop that in the chat. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is 4 o'clock. We're still adding people and letting people into the session. So hang tight for another minute or two. If you need anything, feel free to drop that in the chat. Oh, sorry. That's probably showing on my screen. It is. Sorry, guys. Don't worry, you're still in the right spot. It is 4:03. We have some folks that are still kind of popping in. Let's see if it will let us admit them. Sorry, guys, we have another coach that's going to join us and she's having some tech issues. Boo. Oh, maybe she's in. It is 4:03, so I think we're going to get started. We are here today to take a look at Nearpod. And we are going to specifically be looking at some of the advanced features in Nearpod. So for the premium or paid version of Nearpod, Nearpod is one of the platforms that is allowing I guess offering would be the right word, the paid version of Nearpod available to any users that request it. But you do have to request it. There is a link for that. If you need that link, I will post it here in the chat and just a little bit later on during our learning time together. We are going to use the chat to help facilitate any questions that you have during our time together today. My name is Janet Wenninghoff. I am one of the middle school academic technology coaches, and I am hosting today. I also have Jeanette Campbell, who is another middle school academic technology coach in the session, and she is going to help facilitate and moderate the chat today. So if you have any questions, you can just drop those in the chat and she'll help kind of facilitate those. And I'll try to kind of jump in and check on that from time to time. I am recording our session live today, and I will send you guys the link to the recording. So however you like to learn, if you're wanting to take notes today. If you want to just sit back and watch today, that's okay too. We are going to have a little Nearpod as a student experience. That we'll be able to try out with each other. I think we have a large group, so we'll kind of play that one by ear and we'll see how it goes. All right, so I'm going to start. I'm going to use this slideshow to kind of help organize our learning here today. You will get this slideshow because I'm going to drop some links in here and some activities, some things for you to see. So don't worry about any of that stuff. You're going to get everything you need on the back end. Last thing is attendance. We will take attendance using a Google form that I'll post at the end of our session today. Please, please, please let us know if you have any questions about the attendance on the form. That's how we're taking attendance. It is time stamped, and today's session does have teacher choice credit associated to it. So it's important that everybody completes the form and gets that correct date and time stamp. All right. So today we're talking about Nearpod, but you're going to notice I'm in Google Slides. So if you haven't been in Nearpod in a hot minute, um, you can now embed all of those activities that we love about Nearpod directly in Google Slides. So you're just going to open up your slideshow from Drive. You're going to be in just the standard view that you want. The first time that you come here and you want to embed those Nearpod activities, you're going to start with the add-ons that are up here at the top of the screen. Now, I already have Nearpod, but if it's your first time, you're going to need to click on this Get Add-ons option. And when it opens up, it's going to let you search for some extensions. Now, this is an extension for Google Slides. And so this attaches to your Google Slides account. And that means anytime you are in your Northside Google account and you open up Slides, you will have this Nearpod add-on, regardless of device. So I see my little Nearpod add-on here. If you don't see that when you open up, you can just search for Nearpod in the search bar, and it will open you up this little option. Your button will be kind of blue because you'll need to install it. So you'll click it, you will install it. And so it becomes part of your add-ons. So now, once you have that installed, you'll see Nearpod. And so you'll say, hey, I want to open that Nearpod. And so I'm going to get this little pop out happening over here on the right hand side of my screen. And this is how I'm going to embed all of those activities. I'm going to say yes, I want to log in with Google. I think this is one of those things where it's like, hey, are you really you? And I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to add it. So I'm going to have now what looks like all of those activities I'm used to seeing when I actually go to Nearpod. So if you remember, we used to build all of our slides in Slides, and then we'd go to nearpod.com, we'd bring in the slideshow, and then we would add all the activities. Now they have eliminated that step, and we can just do that right here in Slides. So you're going to notice on my next slide here, I have a little I guess, reminder that it is an add-on. And like I said, you will get this slideshow. And so don't worry if you forget, all the information is here on how to do it. Okay, so we're going to talk about these different activities, just kind of things you need to know. What do they look like? And then I will start to kind of embed these into the Google slideshow, which you will see. And then I'm going to launch a live lesson. I did this session last week, but we didn't have quite this many participants. So we might be kind of testing the limits of Nearpod, seeing how many people we can add to the live lesson. But we're all going to learn together. Okay, so let's talk about what we're seeing over here on the right-hand side of my screen. I can embed audio If you didn't know, you can also insert audio into Google Slides automatically. So kind of either or, same thing. If you need a BBC video, you can search their library right here. But the first thing we're really going to dive into a little bit is that Collaborate board. So a lot of us might have been huge fans of Padlet back in the day, and then very tragically, they turned themselves into a freemium site. The Collaborate board inside Nearpod works very similar to a Padlet board. So I can enter a topic, and I might say, tell me everything you know about the Texas Revolution. And you're going to notice down here on my screen, I can change. I have 5 different backgrounds when I'm, picking the background for my board, whatever you want. So I will say one difference between the Padlet board and the Collaborate board inside of Nearpod is that students can like each other's posts, but they cannot directly comment on each other's posts. So just know that that is a limitation. So you're going to notice on my screen here, it created that little Collaborate board. And then in my slide deck over here on the left-hand side of the screen, I now have a new slide number 4. So it has embedded that Collaborate activity automatically. All right, draw it. Oh my goodness, I love Draw It. Kids can label things, diagram things, sketch things out. Here's my disclaimer about Draw. If the kids are on a touchscreen device, there's just a ton of power in it. However, there is a little bit of a learning curve if they are on a trackpad. So just kind of keep that in mind. That a lot of bang for your buck. It's going to be in the draw screen. Okay. So you're going to notice I can upload a background image. Again, if you have a chart, a graph, a map, anything that you need the kiddos to label or annotate, it might be a body of text, you can upload that background image here, and then you can also give them specific instructions. If I want to just add a reference material, I can come over here. If I want to put a timer on the activity, I can do that there. So kind of all the good things. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And you're going to notice it's going to do the same thing. It is going to add a new slide 5 over here on my slide deck on the left side. I'm going to see the Draw It slide here on my main screen. And I continue to see all of the activities that I can add to my slideshow over here on the right-hand side. Okay, so remember, we're kind of stepping through all of these activities, and then I'm going to launch a live lesson, let you guys join it if you want to, and then that will let you guys have a little bit of a student experience so you can see all of these. Okay, next thing down here is called Field Trip. Oh my goodness. What an awesome tool, especially right now when so many of our kiddos are hanging out at home and missing each other and missing getting outside. I really love the virtual field trip. If we know each other in real life, maybe you have heard me talk about 360 Cities, 360cities.net. That is the website that powers the panoramic images that we can bring into Nearpod. And it is just a fantastic tool. So let's say, for example, I am going to start a novel with my students in the 6 weeks, and I need to kind of give a little setup for the setting. And maybe one of our books is going to be Touching Spirit Bear. And so I want, the Alaska wilderness. So I'm going to search it That's kind of specific. So I'm just going to say maybe Alaska. And you're going to see that it's going to give me some panoramic images that I can choose from. Now, this would be VR, virtual reality, and not AR, augmented reality, and that they're not going to be able to walk around. But they will be able to kind of look all around, and they will get a virtual sensation of being there. If they're on a mobile device, it's pretty seamless. Even if they are on a computer, they can use their trackpad to manipulate that image. So I selected my image there and I hit done. And so now I have added that image here. Like I mentioned, this is powered by 360cities.net, which is a standalone website away from Nearpod. So if you're ever looking for virtual images and maybe you don't need to bring them into a Nearpod, they do have a great bank of things to check out. I'm not going to touch too heavily on the vocabulary. This is an additional add-on, the vocabulary piece, and some of your campuses may have it and some of them may not. It's just a limited video bank of the vocabulary videos that you can bring in. Fill in the blanks. This is maybe my least favorite of the extra tools, only because it doesn't give you very much flexibility. So let's say the sky is blue, the weather is chilly, the month is April. Okay, so those are my sentences, and when I hit next, it's going to say, okay, what do I want to pull into the word bank in April? But this is a correct and incorrect placement of words. So it has to be real specific. And again, it is just fill in the blank. This can be really helpful if you have any academic vocabulary or specific terms that kids need to know. So I'm going to say done. And it's going to keep adding all of my activities. Remember, over here on the slide deck, I can see all of those activities. And then on my main slide, I'm seeing a little kind of condensed version of what that's going to look like. All right, little add-on, the next add-on, oh my goodness, I love it. Yes, okay, I'm going to check the chat real quick because I saw a couple of questions pop up. And I'm not sure if Jeanette is here. Yes, excited about 360. Me too. Oh my goodness, it's awesome. Vocabulary is free in Northside right now. And do you know if that is one of those options or tools where teachers have to request to get the access? If you wouldn't mind letting us know. I know a lot of tools are just having teachers fill out a quick little form. And then Ronnie says, so the words have to be specific for fill in the blank. Yes, that is correct. The words have to be specific. There is not like a mix and match, which is like, boo. Okay, you use your Gmail just to get to vocabulary. That's awesome, you guys. Okay, maybe we'll go back and see that in just a second. Thank you for that little update. I love it. This is why I love the chat. Okay, so we did fill in the blanks. Let me click on that vocabulary option, and then we'll jump back over to Flipgrid. Yay! So it looks like you're going to be able to pull. Now, the vocabulary that is inside of Nearpod is not as robust as the vocabulary that you're used to as the standalone. So just kind of a little bit of a disclaimer, but it's still, there's a lot of power in it if you are a fan of vocabulary, yay. So let's say I'm going to search for maybe mood. Oh, okay. Ooh, I like foreshadowing. That's always good. And I'm going to embed the activity into my slide. Okay. So again, that's just a little standalone piece. This is going to function inside the Nearpod lesson, which is fantastic. Okay, like I mentioned, we're gonna jump to the Flipgrid piece. So, disclaimer on the Flipgrid, or I guess important information to know. You do have to have your own Flipgrid account already set up. You want to already have your grid, which is your class, and you also want to have your topic, which is your assignment or your question. You have to have all of those built in Nearpod before you can bring that in, or have them all built in Flipgrid and then bring them into Nearpod. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I'm going to open up Flipgrid. And if you are needing support on Flipgrid, or you're like, hey, I have heard a lot about Flipgrid, but I need some help with that, be sure to reach out to your coach. I did do a Flipgrid kind of nuts and bolts session last week. So if you would like that video, you're welcome to email me on the back end of things, and I can get you set up with that. And so I'm here on my Flipgrid main screen. So remember, grids are like classes and topics are just like assignments. So I'm opening up my assignment. Oh, good. My favorite for all of us, right? So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to portal through. Yay. Okay. So I already have my little assignment that is set up here, a little emoji story. Fantastic. So now I'm going to jump back to that slideshow. I'm going to click on the Flipgrid button, and it's going to ask me to paste that URL link for students. Okay, so this is kind of like a two-step little thing. So you're going to notice I'm going to come right here, and I'm going to grab that link. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it. And then I'm going to hit the add button. Okay, it's going to want me to add the teacher URL too. That's tricky, right? So I think I'm going to do it again so everybody can see it. All right. So I'm going to back out and do it one more time. Okay, so I'm just here. I'm in my slideshow. I still have my Flipgrid Nearpod button over here. I'm going to click my Flipgrid button. And the first thing it wants me to grab is the teacher URL. Okay, so I'm going to come here, and this is going to be my teacher URL. So I can grab that. And then I'm going to paste it. And then I'm going to come to my student view. I'm going to click it. And I'm going to grab that other, oh, good. It's going to have me log in again. No worries. I'm going to portal right on through, hopefully. And then I'm going to copy that other URL. And I'm going to paste it, add it. Yay, and it's gonna drop me right there. So I know that one is a little bit tricky because it requires us to do some external things. So if you have any questions about that later, go back and rewatch this part of the video, or always reach out to your coach because we definitely wanna help you guys with all of that. Okay, so we have looked at Flipgrid. Desmos, we're not going to jump too deep into Desmos. I know that we probably do have some math teachers that are in here. There is a little Desmos function or option inside of Nearpod. However, it's kind of like the vocabulary, and that when you click the button, you get the search option, and you're searching kind of a limited bank of things. So there are definitely some things here. Let's say I want to add that one. I can. There is also a search bar up there, and it will manipulate on the Nearpod screen for the students. All right. Let me jump to the chat, kind of see how you guys are doing. Yay, Jeanette, I'm glad you're here. Okay, Belle says, so they would do the flip grid or the vocabulary straight through the slide. The vocabulary would be straight inside of the Nearpod. So it's not going to, I think it's 2 questions, Belle. So the flip grid, they're going to record it right inside the Nearpod. The vocabulary is going to play right inside the Nearpod. Desmos is going to play right inside the Nearpod. Everything is going to be contained inside the Nearpod, which I think is really nice. You know, I think this is the benefit of adding these activities rather than just adding links into a slideshow. It's not going to take them out to all these other places where they might get lost. Okay, matching pairs is just what you think it is in terms of like a match game. So you can give them some directions. Match each pair. And then you can add a pair. So the text can be a text or it can be an image. You're going to notice there is a little math function here. I have not played with that math function too much. However, if you are a math teacher, it is totally worth checking it out. So let's say I have possibly some academic vocabulary that might be part of the distance learning resources that are you know, being shared with me via my ISTs or my specialist. You can pull from any of those places. And like I said, you can put in text or you can put in an image. So let's say that I have pulled, sorry, I thought I had something sitting really easily right here. No worries. Let's actually jump to the distance learning site from the portal. So I'm going to check out on here. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to say I want to access those distance learning resources. And remember, I really like the match game for that vocabulary piece. So let's say I'm social studies. And it's going to pull up my document here. And oh, look, here's some vocabulary. Fantastic. And so a lot of these materials that are on the distance learning website, these are PDFs, which are fantastic because it is easy to share. Sorry, that's not the one I'm looking for. And it's easy to pull from, to plug in. This is the one I'm looking for. Cool. So let's say abolish is my term. I'm going to copy it and then I'm going to jump back to my Nearpod. I'm going to paste my word. And then over here, I'm going to jump back to that PDF and I'm going to grab that definition and I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to add another pair. And I can keep doing that for all the terms that I'm going to have. So let's say Civil War, I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to jump back over into my Nearpod. I'm going to paste it. Let me grab that other definition. Okay, so I can add several pairs if I want to. Anytime I want to see what that's going to look like, I can hit the little preview button right here down here on the bottom. So I'm going to say I want to save it. And Ronnie, I hope that answered your question about the PDF. You can just copy and paste off of it if it's a PDF, which is super handy. Oh, yay. Okay, Jeanette, you're there. I'm going to let you do it. Yay, it's awesome. Okay, so memory test. This is like the old school memory game where you have to have 2 like images and you have to remember where they are. So I'm not really going to touch on that too much, but just know what that is. 3D Nearpod. I'm gonna let that pull up and it's gonna think for a second. There are some really cool kind of 3D images. You might remember maybe the merge cubes that were a little bit of a rage for a minute. Um, this kind of reminds me of that, and that, you know, if I'm looking for like animal cells, and again, the topics are over here, but they are a little bit limited. I can bring that in and students will get kind of like a 3D or a virtual image that they can look at. But again, it kind of reminds me of that merged cube if I had to compare it to something. So now we're going to start to get to the activities that you're probably more familiar with. So I'm not going to dive too deep into these. If you have any questions though, drop them in the chat. Open-ended question, it's just like it sounds. It's that short answer or that paragraph, that open-ended response you want for kids. The poll question, if you're trying to take a poll of the room, hey, how many of you remember learning about place value last year? So again, there's not a right or a wrong answer. It's just kind of that open-ended piece. That is the poll question. Quiz looks just like a poll, except there is going to be a correct answer, if you will. You can also attach points to this, and it can self-grade if you need it to. All right, PhET simulations for our probably science teachers that are in the house. These are really cute, basic activities that you can do as a supplemental piece. There are math functions, but the math folks, you guys might like the Desmos stuff a little bit better. So let's say we're talking about, you know, kind of those force and motion concepts. So I have a little friction piece here that I've selected, and I'm going to hit done. And it is going to embed this in the slide. And the real meat and potatoes of that is the kids can manipulate that, which you'll see in just a second, inside of the Nearpod. So super cool. Sway, I'm not going to touch. It is, I think it's a Microsoft product. And so we like to steer clear of those because kids in Northside don't have access to create those Microsoft products. Yay, and you're seeing the PhET simulation populate. Woohoo! You can embed a video if you need to, and you can embed like some web content. But again, we're really focusing on the activities. So you're going to notice over here on my slide deck on the left-hand side of the screen, we have like a lot of activities now, right? Okay, it's all good. I'm so excited. So now that I have all of my activities ready to go, you're going to notice over here down at the bottom, there is a white button that says save and go to Nearpod. So while I can still build my slides in Google Slides, and I can now insert the activities inside slides, to actually launch the live lesson, I have to launch it from Nearpod. So I went ahead and clicked that button. I've already signed in, so it portaled me right through. When you go to sign in, it might ask you for that sign in button again. So that's totally good. So remember, with the premium version of Nearpod, you are going to have the option to launch a live lesson or to do the student pace piece. On the student pace option, it will let you connect that to Google Classroom. So I'm going to start our live lesson first, and then we'll look at that student pace version. Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit tricky, but it is totally up to you guys what you want to see. If you want to try to toggle, please don't leave our Zoom session, but you can click on another tab and you can actually go to nearpod.com and join our live lesson. And so you'll still hear my voice. And so you want to make sure when you go to nearpod.com that you click that you want to join with a code. And so I'm going to see if it will let me just show you that, or if it's not, it's going to push me through. Okay, so on your screen on the left-hand side, if you sign in, you're gonna notice over here it says join a lesson. That's gonna be join a lesson as a student. If you're just on the nearpod.com website, you'll see that there is join a live lesson and we want that code. So I'm gonna slide back over here and there is our code. And I'm gonna give you guys a few seconds or a minute or two if you need to go to nearpod.com or join.nearpod.com, and you're gonna enter that code. It's gonna cap lock it for you. And so this is gonna give you the student experience of those activities. So awesome. So I'm gonna hang tight just for a second. Remember, if you have any questions, you can drop those in the chat. And if you're having any trouble just joining without having to sign in, go to join.nearpod.com. And that's going to give you the little window where you can just type in the VCFD. All right, I'm gonna close that. Don't panic. If you're like, where did the code go? The code continues to stay visible on our screen up here in the top left corner. You will need to enter a name. And so you're gonna notice if you're still watching my teacher's screen or if you're watching the recorded version of our session, down here in the bottom left corner of my screen, I have what looks like little persons, kind of like we see in Google Classroom. I also have a number 28, 29 that's still ticking up. That's telling me how many students I have in the live session. When I click on it, I'm going to have either a red or a green dot next to each student. A green dot means that they are on the Nearpod tab. They're looking at the lesson. A red dot, like we see by Melissa's name, means that another tab is open on the screen. All right, so remember, we're in a live lesson, which is, the teacher controlling the lesson. So I'm going to advance that screen. Remember, this is how we do that add-on. There is our first activity. So on my teacher screen, it's going to say, this is a collaborate board. Would I like to approve student comments before they are posted? That's a yes or a no. You can decide. Classroom management piece. And remember, here is our question. Tell me everything you know about the Texas Revolution. If you are participating as a student, please go ahead and take a second to type on there. You're going to notice you also have a little picture button icon, which means students can post any pictures that are related. So I'll give you guys a second. So on my screen, here is my approval board, and it gives a pop-up of each student's name and their comment, and I can either approve them or I can X them. If I didn't turn on that approval process, they would just post automatically. And then as a student, you guys can there's a little heart to vote on the comments. So that can be really helpful if you're asking them to vote up a comment or like something if you're having them brainstorm different ideas. Okay, and then I can also share out that link on the board if I need to. There is a timer option if I'm like, hey guys, we're gonna do this in 30 seconds, everything you know. Okay, so we're gonna look at the next activity here. And this is going to be the draw piece. So on your screen, you're gonna notice if you're participating with us, you have a pen in the kind of bottomish left corner. You have a highlighter. You do have a text option. So if your students are on a Chromebook or another device that isn't touchscreen, a desktop computer, they can insert that text box and they can still type like they always would. There is also the option to insert text, take a picture, or erase their content. When you are done with your drawing, if you will hit submit, the blue button on the right-ish bottom of your screen. Oh. And so you're going to notice if you are watching my screen, I'm going to see either a green bar or a yellow bar. In progress, yellow. Green means they submitted it to me. And the really great thing about the Draw It, it is going to record all of these drawings in my reports that I can view later. So if my kids are annotating, labeling, and I want to give them some feedback on the work that they're doing here, you can. You don't lose these drawings once the activities are over. I know that several of you are still submitting or working on it. We are in a live lesson, so when I advance this, even if you're still working, it's going to kick you out. And so really that's just something for you guys to know. Yay! We are in the virtual reality piece. So if you are on a computer or a desktop, something that has a mouse, you can actually left click, and then drag your finger on the trackpad or move the mouse around, up and down, and you can look all around. Like I said, this is a really fantastic tool if you're wanting to give kids those virtual experiences. Maybe in science, you're talking about caves and analyzing stalactites and stalagmites, and you're gonna post a link to that option here. Super cool. Again, there's not like a turn-in piece on this. It's just that virtual experience. All right. So remember, this is our fill in the blanks. And so you're going to drag those words from the bottom of your bank. And if you put it in the wrong spot, it is still going to let you drop it. But on my teacher report, oh, it's going to tell you, good try. It's going to tell you how many you got incorrect. And then it will show you the screen with the correct answers on it. So I know you guys might still be working, but in the interest of time, because I still have other stuff to show you, I'm going to go ahead and advance our slides. Okay, this slide contains video. And so I am going to say all devices. Again, remember, this is the vocabulary video that is going to play right inside the Nearpod. So if you want to check that out, you can click on it really quickly. So again, this was the foreshadowing piece. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and advance that just because we are getting tight on time a little bit. Yay, we are in Flipgrid. So you're gonna notice, and I don't know if we're gonna portal all the way through, the kiddos will still need to log in with Google. So they'll hit their login with Google button and they will portal through. It will give them a little pop-up. Again, this is just another reason why we want to encourage kids to go to the mynisd.nisd.net portal, sign in before they start any activities that they're doing for school. And you're going to notice that you can hit that little button, and it's like a look inside Nearpod. They can record right inside the Nearpod session. Or I'm sorry, it's a look inside Flipgrid. My bad. I think I got tripped up on that twice. Okay, next view. Desmos. It's going to give us a little simulation activity. If you need support with the Desmos piece, you definitely want to reach out to the Math ATIST, which is Ryan De La Garza. He's such a fantastic resource for Desmos. And I'm gonna go ahead and push us on to the next one. And this is going to be our match pair. So you can go ahead and you can click on your pairs. And so you'll click on the first square, and then which would be maybe the term or the definition, and then the second square. And if they are a match, it will give you a check. And if it's not a match, it's going to say, no, try again. So on my teacher screen, you're going to notice how many matches did I make and how many tries did it take. So that's super useful data. And again, all of this is viewable in reports on the back end, which we will look at. I'm going to say next activity. Oh, remember, we talked about 3D images, and I feel like it's a lot like kind of the merge cube. If you click on the screen here for this image, you will be able to kind of rotate it a little bit, but it doesn't really offer any advanced features. It again is just kind of that experience and learning and letting the kids see what it's going to look like. Fed simulations. This is actually pretty cool because it allows you to kind of change or to manipulate things. You're going to notice on the screen here, there is this pie chart, bar graph, grid, speed. I can also change the mass of the rider and the friction of the skateboarder. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to pick up my skateboarder and I'm going to drop him. And let's say I'm going to say a bar graph. It's going to pop out this little informational piece for me. All right, next activity. Oh, look, we're best bets. We finished all of our activities. Like that was pretty quick, right? Okay, so we are in a live session. I click the little drop down here at the top of my screen. If you are on your Nearpod screen, you may want to leave that and come back to the Zoom where we are so you can kind of follow along and see where we're at for reports. So we have two ways to get at reports. I can either view the report right away, or I can just end the session and come back later. So I'm going to end the session. I'm really sure. And on your screen, if you're still in the Nearpod, you should see a little pop-up that says it's over. So I mentioned we have live lesson, which means all of your kids are going to be doing the same activities at the same time and you're advancing the slides. If you're doing class meetings, if you're doing Zoom sessions with your kiddos and you have a small group that you're working with, live session is still a great tool. However, student-paced means I can post it in Google Classroom for kids to complete at their leisure. All of the activities remain the same. It's just that they are advancing themselves through the slideshow. So you're going to notice that I have a Google Classroom option. And it is, are you guys not seeing my screen? Let's see. Okay, Google Classroom. I can say I'm going to post this to my class. I'm going to choose an action. Maybe this is an assignment I want my kiddos to complete. And I'm going to say go. And I'm going to see kind of this little window into Google Classroom. So this might be our introduction to the Texas Revolution. Any directions you want to give them. I can post it to multiple classes if I want to. However, I may want to just assign this particular lesson to specific students. So remember, that's an either or. I can either post it to multiple classes, or in a single class, I can post it to specific students. I don't have any classes in this student, or I don't have any students in this class, so don't let that view throw you off. You want to make sure, of course, that you are utilizing topics. So let's say week of April 13th through the 17th. And I'm going to go ahead and assign it. And then that view button would take me out to Google Classroom, but I'm not gonna head there. Okay, so that link is live, and for 29 days, my kids will be able to portal right on through from Google Classroom into that self-paced Nearpod lesson. So let's talk about reports. I'm still here in Nearpod, and you're gonna notice over here on the left-hand side of my screen, this is kind of where the meat and potatoes of Nearpod lives. Just know that there is a Nearpod lesson library. There are some pre-done Nearpod lessons. You can search for these by TEAC, by grade level, all kinds of stuff. Even with the premium version, there are still some paid things in there. The really great thing is if you click on this, and let's say I'm going to search for it by Texas, and I'm going to say math, 6th grade, all strands. If I click on this, it will let me search for something that's really TEAC specific. So it's going to give me these lessons that are supposed to be connected to that TEAC. Now, I will say, word of caution, you know, sometimes the TEACs are really broad, and sometimes the things that we get from our leadership in Northside as far as curriculum goes, it really drills down and is specific. So still, when you're coming here to the pre-done content, this may overshoot a little bit. The great thing is if you go to add to my library, when you add it, you can delete any slides, you can change any of the activities, all the good stuff. So we're gonna leave that there. If you have questions about that later, definitely circle back with your coach, and we'll chat with you. School library, if your campus has the paid version campus-wide, you can save lessons to your school library, and you could set them there for other teachers at your school to use. Even though there are lessons that you have made, it will kind of file make a copy for them, if that makes sense. I am going to continue to scroll down, and now I'm going to see this option here that says reports. So I'm going to click reports, and you're going to notice here is the live lesson that we just finished. And for any lesson, when I click it, I'm going to see any instance that I have actually given that lesson pop up, but I actually have to click the name of the lesson to see that pop. So I'm going to say, yes, I would like to see that. So this is the live lesson that we did. And again, I can click on quiz. We didn't have a quiz question. We did have a draw it question. So I will see that green bar. I will click it, and I can go back through and I can see all of the drawings that were here. And if I want to see any one specific student's drawing, I can click and I can see it. Matching pairs. Again, I can see that overview data. How many matches did they make? How many tries did it take them? Did they complete the activity? All good information to have. So I'm not going to pour through that too much, because I do want to kind of take any questions that you might have and get you out of here on time. I'm jumping back to my slideshow. So best bets. In Nearpod, you're going to have the option to set up a folder system in your library. Strongly recommend setting up a folder system. It's just a great way to organize your content, especially if you're new to Nearpod. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a ton of lessons like me, and you're just going to be scrolling around forever and ever. Amen. Again, the library, this is very useful if your campus-wide has the paid version. If you're not sure if your campus has the paid version, check with your coach. We talked about reports, we talked about those student PACE codes, and we talked about how you might even use that live lesson in the distance learning classroom. Okay. there are some links here. I'm going to give you this slideshow, and I'm going to open up and head over to the chat. And Jeanette, if you could let us know if there's anything we need to circle back to. So Cheryl says, is it possible to collaborate with another teacher on the same Nearpod? You can collaborate, but you want to make sure that you have your own copy of the lesson. Otherwise, Cheryl, let's say you and I are collaborating on a lesson, and then you share it with your kids and I share it with my kids. The reporting can get a little wonky, not always, but I recommend having your own copy.
So there were some questions about the code when it's student paced and it's
Okay.
put into Google Classroom.
Okay. How to do it, or how long the code is good for, or would you guys like to see that again? And feel free to drop that into the chat. Do I need a copy for each class period? Melissa, that's a really good question. If you're doing the live lesson, I would say no, because you're going to get a report generated on each live lesson. If you're doing the student pace version, you may want a copy for each classroom so that when you run the report, you're seeing just the kiddos in your first period, just the kiddos in your second period, and so on. Any other questions? And maybe while you guys are typing your questions, I'm also going to drop the link for our Google form today. And so this link may show up as a hyperlink for you in the chat, or this may show up for you as a just kind of a link. You may have to copy and paste this. And if you have any questions about that, you can just drop it in the chat. And I am going to paste it. So that the link to that form is in the chat. Remember, that is attendance. Even if you were here today for learning and not so worried about the teacher choice hours, please take a minute to complete that Google form just so that we have attendance records. Jacob, you should see that link above. Oh, you don't see it either, Jeanette.
Yeah, we don't see it.
Oh,
Did you maybe put it in the waiting room?
I did.
Okay.
I think that happened to somebody else earlier this week. Sorry, you guys. Let me grab it again. My apologies. I'm going to post it in the chat. Okay, now everybody should see it in the chat. Sorry about that. And again, it's not probably, most likely not a live link for you. That means that you will need to copy that link URL from the chat and then open up your preferred web browser and paste that link there. If you have any questions, please feel free to put those in the chat. Is there another link I'm going to send you? Yes. I'm going to send you a link to the recorded version of our session today, and I will also send you a link to the Nearpod slideshow that I use for today. And both of those will come to you, and that'll be based off the attendance form.
So I think the question about the code in the classroom is like when the kids open it up, do they have to enter a code, or does it just, once you put it in Google Classroom, does it just open up for them?
It should just open up for them. Now, you want to make sure, again, that you're having them go to mynisd.nisd.net. And so that's going to help alleviate kind of any of those issues that they're having. And that is through the portal.
Question about folders that you created.
Sure.
How did you add the folders you created?
How did I? Oh, sure. I can jump back. Rochelle, I'm thinking maybe that link is you have to copy and paste it in a web browser. It's not clickable right from the chat. So let me know if that helps. You tried that link. Rochelle, I'll send that to you in an email. Okay, so I'm going to show you those folders on the screen. I'm going to jump back into Nearpod. And I am going to, sorry, my own toolbar. So, plus button right up here, that create. And then you're going to see that folder option, whatever naming convention you want. So it might be distance learning, whatever makes the most sense for you. You'll create the folder. So it's going to kind of drop you in the folder. So you might be like, wow, where did all my stuff go? Don't worry. You can always back out one right here by clicking on My Lessons. And then let's say, here's my distance learning folder. Let's say I want to drag that into the distance learning folder. It's going to move it right there for me. Do we start from nearpod.com or do we start in Google Slides like with Pear Deck? Jimmy, that is totally up to you. You can still go the old way where you import a Google slideshow and you add the activities here in Nearpod, or you can just start out in Google Slides and install the Nearpod add-on. And the directions for that are in the slideshow I'm going to send you, and then it will also be how we start the video when you have the video version of this webinar today. It is 5:02, and we have posted the link to the attendance form. I'll stay here for questions, but if you don't have any questions, feel free to pop out of today's session. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate you guys so much, and if you have any questions about utilizing this or you need a slowed down version of the learning today, make sure to follow up with your academic technology coach. And then I'm still gonna grab you, Rochelle, and get you that link. And I'm gonna stay here, so if you guys even wanna unmute yourself, feel free to. I think you should be able to. If not, you can just put that in the chat.
So I had a question. Are you going to be emailing us a link to these, I guess the slideshow that you had today, or?
Yes, I will send you an email, and it will have the video recording of our session today. It will have the slides that I use as part of our session today. You'll get both of those things in an email from me.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I had a question about premium. How do you get to premium?
Oh, maybe that's the link. I think I did mention that early on. Let me show you guys my screen and I'll show you how to grab that. And then I'll also show you, or I'll paste the link in there. Sorry, let me grab the screen share button real quick. Okay, I'm gonna start sharing my screen with you guys again.
Janet, I have a question for you after you finish.
Sure. Okay, I think the screen sharing is coming back. Yay. I'm actually going to sign out of Nearpod so I can show you where that's at for the premium version or to request it. So you're going to come here to just nearpod.com, and you're going to see like this little orange banner that says, you know, we're doing more, blah, blah, blah. Click that blue button that says learn more. And it's going to open up this new screen, and you're going to see a column on the left-hand side, and it's going to say request access. So if I scroll down, you're going to click that request access. and it's going to pop up this, and you're going to complete it. Their turnaround time to get folks the premium version access has been pretty quick. And I'm going to copy that link and I'm going to post it in our chat too. And I'll send that out in the email as well. So if you don't grab it from the chat, don't worry. And then I think somebody else had another question too.
Yeah, I had a question about that Google form. How
Sure.
do I get to that link?
Okay, so you can, I don't think you can see me copying on the screen. Let me see if I can make that appear so you can see it.
Okay.
Give me
So I'm saying that the coronavirus keeps students engaged in learning.
Yeah, let me see if I can make that appear. I don't know if I can make you see my chat appear. Oh, advanced, maybe that. No, I don't want that either. So what you would need to do, which is me just kind of talking, sorry, that's unexciting, is the link to the form, which I'll put in the chat one more time because I think it got a little bit buried. And so all you have to do is, I'm gonna grab the link.
Copy.
And then I'm gonna paste it in the link. And so what you'll do is you'll actually copy it from the chat. So just highlight it and then hit copy. And then
So
you'll
highlight it
jump.
right now?
I'm sorry?
Highlight it right now?
And then just in a new tab up on your own screen.
And then put copy. Okay, I did. And then copy, paste.
Yes. And then you'll paste it. And it should open up in this form that looks like a coffee cup.
And then I can just do it right there.
That's it.
Okay. And then when I'm done, I just put leave meeting.
Yep. You're good.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye-bye.
If anybody else has any other questions, you are super welcome to unmute yourself. It's just a handful of us left.
When I click on the little icon, it won't. I'm trying to answer where it says please choose your session. And okay, there it is. I got it. I got the first one. Okay.
Awesome.
Please enter. Trying to scroll up. It won't let me scroll up. Let's see. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, cool.
When I tap on your answer, it won't let me in.
On submit?
No, I'm doing please enter your e-number.
Yes, if you enter your E, it's gonna not like that. So it's just the leading numbers, no E.
Oh, okay. Okay, but do I have to get to the keyboard?
Yes. And when you touch like the place where you're gonna tap it, your keyboard should pop up on the bottom. If you're on a mobile device.
I'm on an iPad.
Okay. So when you touch that to type it in, your keyboard should pop up from the bottom.
It didn't. It's got the cursor right there where it says your answer.
Let me.
And then it says, please fill out this field. But the keyboard won't come out.
What if you double tap it?
Okay.
Did it pop up?
Yeah, so without the E.
Yes, without the E, just the numbers.
Okay, let's see. No, it won't let me. The keyboard doesn't come out. It kind of made it bigger. Please enter your E number, and then says your answer, but a keyboard doesn't come out.
Why don't you just shoot me an email if you can. My email's up at the top up there on that form.
Let's see. Yeah.
And just shoot me an email with your e-number and I'll
Okay.
get it entered.
Okay, that's
All
good.
right.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
just leave meeting.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, I'm going to end the meeting for anybody still left here. And if you have any questions, you can just shoot myself or Jeanette an email.